Stickman.
Gavin McGinnis, thanks for having me on.
How's it going, eh? Welcome to How's It Going, eh? It's a Canadian show where we discuss politics and world events, and you are a world event. You were just at Berkeley fighting tooth and nail for freedom.
Yes, sir. We had a freedom rally at Berkeley, and we came prepared. The Antifa came to disrupt the event and attack us, and we handed them their ass.
A tectonic shift in the culture. This was not a random brawl. This was not the Mods and the Rockers on Brighton Beach. This was youth culture going away from this lunatic anarcho-communist narrative.
This was huge. Like you said, this is tectonic. This has launched our movement into the stratosphere, where the right is finally done being attacked and taking, you know, the high road, not attacking back, not showing up to these events, not getting men on the street, and pushing back on these Antifa. I think that's done. And what you're going to see going forward from here is the right turning out en masse to support the right-wing brothers and sisters, not just here, but also in Europe and other Western countries around the world. And we are going to start pushing back against neo-Marxism and communism. Yeah.
Well, we're so tolerant, and we don't like...
We are.
We don't like nagging, and if someone really wants to shut something down or get in our face, we go, for a while, we're sort of like an old dog, where you just keep bugging it and bugging it and bugging it, and then eventually it goes, Arr! And I think Milo's riot there at Berkeley, when they shut him down by burning it down, that was when the dog went rawr, and you were the first rawr with Base Stickman. And then after that, everyone else just started attacking and biting back. And as we bite back on Saturday, I think we realized, holy shit, I'm not just biting back a silly little chihuahua. I'm biting back a rabid rat that is just deranged. They were throwing rocks. They were trying to strangle people with bags. Yeah. They were attacking old men, vets, war vets. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's nothing new. You know, that they've been doing that for years. Yeah, there is no honor amongst these guys in how they fight, and everyone's a target. You know, if there were children there, I could see them attacking the children too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Milo was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I live here in the Bay Area, and after seeing what happened to the Proud Boys and other people attending that event, I was done.
Yeah.
I knew I had to go into action and help, defend my fellow patriots.
Now, you didn't just go kick some ass and go to a few rallies. You're starting a whole thing now. This is now a movement. Base Stickman is not just a temporary meme. This is a new direction for you for life.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I intend to build my own coalition, build a foundation, Return of the Warrior Foundation, and we're going to continue to have these rallies.
Lately, I've been talking more about the movement leaders within the alt-right, and particularly in the wake of the Portland stabbing by Based Knife Man, as Pohl christened him, I was compelled to revisit the man behind the myth of Based Stickman. You may find your favorite Trumper on Twitter exalting the virtues of Based Stickman as a warrior for free speech and Western Enlightenment, post-Enlightenment values, a defender of Western children. This guy is chummy with the Proud Boys leader, Gavin McInnes. And he, my understanding is that he's in a mixed race marriage and has disavowed white supremacy. So he's He's, again, I've always touched upon this whole Western chauvinism thing as just another brand of hatred, saying that you give preference to people, any form of supremacy, civic nationalism. That's the philosophy that based stickman proudly espouses, is not a harmless position, because the cost of any form of militant nationalism is the vilification of the other. It's nativist cultural cancer at the heart of this whole the West is the best. The right wing always uses, their politics seem to always be within these sort of sports team frames. But the fact that Base Stickman was one of the first memes of the alt-right standing up violently against Antifa. Some of the first things that I heard about, from supposed liberals who defend free speech, when Base Stickman first popped up, was, well, you guys brought this on yourself. The Antifa have brought this on themselves by initiating violence. And there's this narrative of Kyle Chapman, the Base Stickman, this sort of Clark Kent narrative, that he was just a mild-mannered guy, and that he was called to glory and wrongfully arrested. They even described him as a political prisoner because he was arrested for bashing an Antifa on the head with a flagpole during one of these battles for Berkeley. Kyle Chapman was already a violent felon before he set foot on that Berkeley campus. He is dangerously deranged, according to his own attorney. He is a severely mentally ill, dangerously deranged man. Consider this in the wake of the Portland stabbings, where Jeremy Joseph Christian, another free speech warrior, stabbed 2 men to death on a train for encroaching upon his right to assert Western supremacy on 2 innocent Muslim girls on a subway. It is very important to be aware of the specifics of Kyle Chapman's background in order to understand why I think this guy is the next stabber, shooter, lone wolf, mass killer guy. And how very irresponsible it is for people like Lauren Southern and Gavin McInnes and other right-wing media personalities, Ben Shapiro of all fucking people, the cuck of cucks, Ben Shapiro, as he's called by the other frogs, had Chapman on, and it was a very polite, filleting conversation they had about freedom and liberty and Western values and all this stuff. This Kyle Chapman guy is a 3-time convicted felon. His first conviction was for 2 separate armed robberies in 1993. I think he was just about turning 18. And he used a pellet gun that looked like a .44 to stick up a couple of kids on more than one occasion. This is the first time he went to prison. He served 30 months of a 5-year sentence and was paroled in 1996. He moved to another state. I believe that's when he moved to the West Coast from Texas to become a bouncer. And he was clean and sober for a little while. His next conviction was June 2001. Sorry, I had to look at my notes. Pled guilty to grand theft for robbing a Macy's of $400 of merchandise in San Diego. He was sentenced to 4 years, of which he served 2.5. So that's grand theft. Violated parole, and then, attached to that violation was another 5 months. June 2009, sentenced to 63 months in prison and 3 years probation. 2 months after his supervision ended, after his probation ended, he appeared at Berkeley as the alt knight, as the new hero of a political movement and a darling of not only, I'm not shocked when neo-Nazis aggrandize felons. I'm not shocked by that because of the philosophical grounding of white supremacy in prison. I get it. I get that. Like, it's not forgivable. I don't excuse it. But, like, when Nathan D'Amigo becomes prominent in place of Richard Spencer, because D'Amigo has, with his, the guy who punched the dreadlocked female Antifa protesters that they call moldy locks. I'm not shocked. Because he's a neo-Nazi. He converted to this white nationalism in prison. I'm not impressed. He's just a less polite version of Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer being sort of, if you can frame it as such, the difference between a minister and a theologian, right? So the theory and the rhetoric is from Spencer, and then like the execution in the field is from the types like D'Amigo who have been to prison and shivved people. Kyle Chapman, this guy who is being represented on channels that are not even right-wing channels. I know that to sort of filter this through YouTube politics seems arbitrary, but the amount of eyeballs that are, that the millions of impressions formed in this space as compared to cable news that's dying makes it very important to consider where the goalpost has moved within this space, because a lot more people are getting their political understanding from YouTube and from the cycle between YouTube and Twitter. So be suspect of anyone who presents to you someone like Kyle Chapman as a defender of your rights. Not even just for his issues with substance abuse, his time being incarcerated. It is the most repulsive thing about the legend of Base Stickman in the right-wing media outlets online is the scrubbing, and how much the alt-right is a purity movement being run by like these incredibly venal and disingenuous sorts. Kyle Chapman has merchandise. He does a bunch of GoFundMe stuff for himself. It is so discouraging to see these outlets scrub this fucking guy clean for their own purposes, while they claim moral high ground over Antifa. So that's my challenge. Whoever finds this video, find me a leader of Antifa, because I know Sargon has gone on about BAM, BAMN, which is one of the vanguard Antifa organizations, right? Anti-fascist action groups by any means necessary. Find me someone from that organization that has a fucking rap sheet as long as the alt-right.